Civil Accudraw, DeltaX DeltaY. This is what this option is right here. To demonstrate how that works is if I come up here, and I'm just going to use my Place Smart Line tool to demonstrate this Civil Accudraw option. I'll come out here and I'll left click to start my line. And you'll notice now whenever I go to the next point, you'll see that my DeltaX and my DeltaY resets to 0 because that's where it's going from that previous point that I've placed. So now if I need to come over here, let's say I need to go 200 feet in the X and 200 feet in the Y from that previous point, I can simply type in those values. And you'll notice right now in my DX or DeltaX, that's where it's highlighted at. So if I try to input something into that field, of course it's going to put it into that field. So I'm going to come in here and I'll type in 200. And to lock that value, if I come out here and hit the Enter key on my keyboard, you'll see a lock pad beside that value now, and that value is locked. So if I go in my Y direction, you'll see that it's going to be 200 feet from that previous point that I placed in the X direction, and now I define which way I need to go in my Y direction. So let's say I need to go 200 feet up in the Y direction, type in 200, hit Enter to lock it in, and now those two values are locked, and if I try to move my mouse around, it's not going to go anywhere because I have those two values locked. So now if I come out here and I left click to place that line, it places it, and of course now it's going to reset back to 0 because now it's going from that next previous point that I placed to the next point that I need to go to. So now if I come in here and I type in 250, hit Enter, you'll notice that's going to go down to the other one. But this time, let's say I need to go in a negative direction. The good thing about Civil Accudraw is it knows what direction that you're going from where you have your cursor located at. So if I'm coming up and going up right now, and I type in, let's say, 125, it's going to go in the direction that I have that line currently at. Or if I need to go down, like where I'm at right now, in a negative value, I could type in negative 125, or I could simply type in 125 because it knows what direction that I'm going in. So if I type in 125 right now and hit Enter, you'll see that it's going in that direction where I had the cursor at on the screen. So that is kind of important whenever you type in your values. Know what direction that you're going before you type in those values. So I'll left click to place it, and now I'm finished. I'll right click to reset the tool. Or if I'm coming up here, let's go in the other direction. Let's say I left click to start the line here, and I pull it in my X direction, but I go to the left, which is a negative value, and I type in 400. And I'll enter to lock it in. You'll see that it's going to go to the left side. So wherever you have your mouse at, whenever you type in those values, that is pretty important. I'm going to go ahead and hit F4, clear out of my tool, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this line. So that's what the DeltaX DeltaY option will allow you to do in your Civil Accudraw options. I'm going to come out here and just draw a simple line. Another good thing about the DeltaX DeltaY is, let's say I need to start this line at this point right here, this end point, and I'll just snap to start it. But this time, you'll notice right now, if I need to go to a different field, like either to the DeltaX or the DeltaY, and you'll see there, I'm just hitting my tab key and it toggles it to the other field. Now for this one right here, let's say I need to go just in the X direction and I want to leave my Y value set to 0. Well, if that's the case, I would simply come in here and tab down to get to my Y field, DeltaY, and now if I hit my Enter key on the keyboard, it'll lock that value of 0. So if I go in my X direction, you'll notice that if I move my mouse up and down, it's still just going to go in the Y direction at that horizontal distance from that previous point. So if I want to stop it at maybe this endpoint right here, I can stop it right there. And if I snap to this endpoint, of course it's going to stop it at that point right there. So that's another option that you can do with the DeltaX or DeltaY. Now I'm going to go in here and just clear this out. I'll just do a Control Z, do a couple undos. Another bit of information about the DeltaX and DeltaY, and this also pertains to other tools in your Civil Accudraw options. Let's say I come in here and I'll left click to start the line, and I want to go to a point, let's say 300 feet in the X. I'll hit enter to lock that value. And now I'll come in here and go to my Y, and I'll just type in 150, lock that value in. You'll notice as I move my mouse around, of course it's not going to go anywhere, but in my DX and DY in my Civil Accudraw prompt there, you'll see a lock pad beside those two values. If I hit my tab key, I could go down to those other values and possibly type something else in if I needed to, and hit enter to reset that value. I can do that, as I'm doing right now. Or another thing is, let's say I want to unlock those values. Well, to unlock a value that is locked right now is whatever field that it's in, like in my DY right now, and I want to unlock that field, what I would need to do is hit the end key on my keyboard. So if I hit end, you'll notice now that my DY is unlocked. Or another option that I could do is if I had them both locked in, like I currently do, and now I want to unlock both those values to maybe retype something else in or do some other operation, I could hit shift end. And then whenever I move my mouse, you'll notice that my DX and my DY are now unlocked. So the enter key locks the value, the end key unlocks the current value that you're in, or shift end will unlock both values. So that's what the DX and DY does. It allows you to go from one point and then go to the next value from that previous point that was placed.